visited, skip, awesome, edit, awesome, sauce, cancel, but restart button, pause button.
Awesome sauce. Hello, everyone. This is Awesome Sauce Radio. I am your mentally undeveloped party host, Blind Adam Wonders, the comic pimp. Happy New Year. I hope everyone's having a good start to 2024 so far. Before I bring in the guests, just a quick note that we are now a month away from MegaCon out in Florida. So for all your MegaConies, go to Fan Expo MegaCon or just Google them. I don't know if I'm going to be there yet, but with that being said, I would like to bring in heroineburgh, excuse me. And,
hello.
What's up, HB?
Hey, welcome from Pittsburgh. I'm here with the Comicsburgh crew.
Cool. Let's bring in Grant.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, Grant?
I'm doing great.
Let's bring in Marvin as well.
What's going on?
Hey, I think you guys are all being guests tonight. So can we go around the room by one? Tell my audience who you are and what your books are and what you do.
Should I go first? Sounds good. Yeah, so I am the creator of Heroineburgh. It's both a live-action TV series, which has 2 seasons produced for download from our website, and it's a comic book series, which goes along with the TV show. So all of our content is produced 100% in Pittsburgh. The actresses are from here. We shoot in Pittsburgh, and all of the artists are from Pittsburgh for the comic book as well. We even print the book in Pittsburgh. So 100% Pittsburgh content, all-female superhero team, and villains as well.
Nice. I guess, Grant, you can go next.
My name is Grant Lankard. I am a writer and comic book artist from Pittsburgh, PA. My books are Beowulf, which just wrapped up its 6th issue, but there is most definitely going to be a sequel to that coming, maybe not 2024, maybe 2025. My next project is called League of Cryptids, and I also have a horror anthology called Memoirs of the Morbid.
Marvin, you're up next.
Yep, I'm Marvin Wynn. I am the writer and creator of The Edge. Issue number 5 will be in stores next month.
Nice. So how did Heroineburgh get started?
Well, for Heroineburgh, we started kind of out of an institution called Pittsburgh Filmmakers, which doesn't exist anymore. And back in 2016, I was working in the equipment office there, and I was reading a lot of comics, got back into comics and watching a lot of TV shows, and decided to create an all-female superhero universe. And just lucky, I had some free equipment out of the office there for about a year, and then bought my own. And started out just as a television show with local actresses playing all the parts, and progressed to also making a comic book. One of the guys that draws for our interiors is one of the main villain actors in the show as well, Benjamin Zeus Barnett. And then we joined up with Jason Wright, who works for DC Comics, to do our covers, and he lives in Pittsburgh. And we also joined up with Wayne Brown, who is our second interior artist and was working for some indie books at the time. So that's kind of the evolution. Started in 2016, but the influences come from mainly the 70s and 80s TV shows like Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, and Batgirl from Adam West, and Electra Woman and Dinah Girl and stuff like that, as well as.
And watching the show, I definitely got a big vibe of the Electra Girl and that particular show.
Yes, correct. And also very important for us as influences when I was creating the show was the some 1980s comic books, especially George Perez's New Teen Titans and Bill Black's Femme Force.
Ooh, Femme Force. Nice. All right, Grant, how did Beowulf get started?
Well, I had always wanted to make a comic book since I was a little kid, and it always felt like it was just something that was too hard to do. And I had a lot of extra free time over quarantine, and I started contacting like comic book writers and seeing if anybody needed any art for their comic book. And I didn't really like any of the ideas that the comic book writers were pitching me. So I figured, well, why don't I just use one of my own ideas? And Beowulf was actually an idea that I had from when I was a kid, like I was maybe like 14 or 15 years old when I came up with Beowulf. And I came up with the idea for Beowulf because my parents had one of those Time Life books about fairy tales, and Beowulf was one of the stories from that Time Life book.
Nice. Marvin, how did your book get started?
Well, the origins of my book comes right out of the 80s and 90s with G.I. Joe and X-Men. And I think that a lot of the background of it is generally from X-Men, because before reading X-Men in the 90s, when Jim Lee and Chris Claremont were on the book, and Jim Lee and his team bailed for Image, I didn't really know anything but Marvel and DC. So finding out about the Image, when Image got started in their revolution, that gave me an idea on writing a really bad comic back in the early 2000s that became what is the Edge now.
That's nice. What are some of the, and you guys can start in any order you wish. What are some of the pitfalls of being an indie comic creator in this day and age?
Marketing.
Yeah.
You say, Grant? Marketing. So, and I think that since Grant and I are working through the Diamond catalog, we can tell you that marketing is one of the hardest things to do. So how do you get eyes on a book? How do you convince shop owners who are used to buying hundreds of copies of Batman to buy only 90 copies of Batman to buy 10 of your book instead? So it's the old idea of trying to talk someone out of doing something they're used to doing and trying to do something different, when we're living in a world where trying something different can put you out of business.
That's true, and I do feel that a lot of shops, especially in my area, don't take chances on new things sometimes.
Yeah. And I mean that's to their strength and to their detriment too, because if people aren't going to buy those Marvel and DC books, then you have to pivot them to something else. You can't just let them leave the store.
Oh yeah. So where are you guys even placed in the Diamond catalog? Because that thing is still, even with Lunar and Penguin now, it's still pretty massive.
One under C, and I mean we're not in the premiere section yet, but we're under C. So it's one of the things that when we first got into the catalog, and what we've done is we've called shops and inquired on the things that are moving in their store, letting them know that the book existed. And a lot of them told me that if I wouldn't have contacted them, they would have skipped over the books because, like you said, it's a huge telephone book of product, and no one's going to find something they're not looking for. So
now I've been doing on my end. I've been doing a lot of. I go direct to stores, so I don't work through Diamond. But both on my end, calling stores directly, and I've also been doing a lot of calling for our fourth member, DP Brown, who does the book Theme of Thieves. He's not here with us. And between the two things, calling all the stores, Marvin is right. If you don't tell them it exists, they're just not going to know. But one way that we make it a little bit more prominent is all four of us have united under a banner called Comicsburgh, which Grant can show you the T-shirt there that he's wearing. That's the logo of Comicsburgh. And there you go.
One too.
And I'm sorry. Oh yeah, Marvin has one too. And so using the title of Comicsburgh, we're able to combine kind of like Captain Planet, to use to vend at Comic Cons together, and also to present a united front from Pittsburgh. For example, in the previews catalog, you don't have to look under The Edge, Beowulf, or Theme of Thieves. You look under comicsburgh, and all three titles are listed there under their logo. And Grant and Marvin can tell you a little bit about how that's been working for them.
How has being in Diamond been working for you guys, especially in today's direct market where?
Yeah. Go ahead, Grant.
You want me to tell the truth?
Yeah. Let me say this. This is a no holds barred adult.
I mean, I'll put it this way. I'll put it this way. It's definitely not the road to riches. I mean, on some months we break even, kinda. Yeah. I mean, Diamond is definitely going through Diamond is definitely not. I'll put it this way: there's a reason why so many independent comic book creators don't go through Diamond.
I can imagine.
And the reason why is, unless you're selling thousands of books and you're able to buy them in bulk, you're really going to barely break even, if that. Which is why, I mean, I think we're planning on putting our priorities more into crowdfunding in the future.
Which just gave me my next question. Why not just switch over to crowdfunding, which seems to, I mean, every time I turn around, I'm seeing 5 new Kickstarters in the comic book market, like almost every everyday basis.
Yeah,
well, they have been.
Hey, man, Heroineburgh, I was talking.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I've done multiple Kickstarters. I did 6 Kickstarters for Beowulf, and I did 2 Kickstarters for Memoirs of the Morbid, and I plan on there's going to be another one for League of Cryptids. So, I mean, our goal was to see how many different routes we could promote our book or sell our book. But in doing that, I think sometimes you're going to find that some routes are better than others, which
right. I mean, there's no reason to cut off any of those chances or opportunities. So, I mean, going direct to stores, indirect to stores, crowdfunding, conventions, going out on the streets and throwing books at people, it could be an option too. If it works, it worked for us.
You guys are in Pittsburgh. I don't know. It's probably different, a little bit more of a tougher trick and dog and pony act to pull off in Pittsburgh versus, like, say, New York.
I mean, it's a hustle.
Why not just have a street team?
Yeah, it's hustling no matter what the situation is. I mean, you're hustling no matter what. Like, you're selling records, you're selling tapes, you're selling drugs. You got to hustle to get out on those streets to get somebody to pay attention to you. So, I mean, it's just a different kind of hustle. That's all.
Yeah, like I said, Pittsburgh is one of the few cities in America I have not been to yet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We got
you gotta
bridges.
check it out.
Maybe one of these years, if one of your conventions isn't like the same week as other events that I normally do happen, that might I may make it to Steel City this year.
No, don't go to Steel City. There's a better convention in Pittsburgh. It's called Three Rivers Con.
All right.
That's the first weekend in June.
Why Three Rivers versus Steel City? Why should I avoid Steel City like the plague?
I mean, Three Rivers is an actual comic convention. Steel City isn't a comic book convention. It's a pop culture convention. It's the focus is more on movies and TV shows.
All right, so I can better off be putting my money into for those type of shows in the Fan Expo, since they're the only ones I feel that do it right.
Right.
I'm not just saying that because they sponsor the show either.
Right. Well, Fan Expo does they do a good mix of celebrities and then comic creators than Steel City. Steel City is heavily loaded towards celebrities, 30 to 40 celebrities, and 2 comic creators, maybe.
Ouch.
So yeah, Adam, Three Rivers in Pittsburgh is like a bigger version of Big Apple. Big Apple is great, and I had fun there. Three Rivers is like maybe about twice as large as Big Apple as far as and it's almost all creators. We've had the best luck between all of our Comicsburg creators, when we go to conventions that are very creator oriented, that emphasize comic book creators specifically, whether it's Heroes in Charlotte or Baltimore Con or Cincinnati Con, places like that we've been, where you might have 60 to 100 different comic books being sold, and there are very few celebrities, just maybe a handful on the margins, rather than at Steel City, where the celebrities are by far the emphasis. Probably 95% of everything is pop culture. So yeah. In Pittsburgh itself, though, there's a lot of different opportunities for us to get the word out. There's a lot of good comic shops. There's several different cons. There are other things that we do, like arts festivals and record festivals and book festivals. So there's a lot of ways to get the message out in Pittsburgh. We have a pretty steady comic book culture here of creators that have been around for a while. Like Don Simpson or Howard Bender, or people like that who have, and Jason Wright is one of our creators in Pittsburgh. Ron Friends is another one. So
yeah, I was gonna just ask, is it Friends still up there somewhere?
Friends is still there. As you know, Jim Shooter came from here as well. I mean, there was a long Pittsburgh Comic Con legacy as well, preceding Steel City Con. With a lot of major...
Not all of it good. If people want to search, the Core TV archives.
Yeah, a lot of major creators used to come to Pittsburgh to the old Comic Con, so there is quite a history here of creation and publishing in Pittsburgh, and we're kind of we're kind of the premier people kind of leading the charge right now, at least our 4 creators, myself, Grant, Marvin, and DP.
That's awesome. What are your plans for the future, as far as getting, because I watched everything on your YouTube channel. What are the plans for the show as far as heroineburgh is concerned?
Oh, as far as us, sure, and everybody else can talk as well. Yeah, so heroineburgh is now moving into its 3rd season. We have 1 episode for the 3rd season completely done, and we're working on a 2nd one to release them together. We also have a steady set of custom mini episodes that are coming out that people are enjoying, and we're working on our 4th issue right now. It's about, I would say, 3/4 done, but it should be ready for, the Three Rivers Con next year. Another exciting thing going on in Pittsburgh is that we have the Comics Pro conference here for the 2nd year, and we'll be making our presence known there as well. That's the private comic retailer industry.
It's going to be in Pittsburgh again this year?
Again, yes. It moved from the West Coast, and it landed in Pittsburgh last year, and it's going to be there again this year, and we'll have a presence there.
So I was hoping they were going to move it back to the West Coast. Son of a bitch.
You wanted them to move it back?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, I spent part of my time in New York. I spent the upper part of my time in Vegas. So.
Oh, okay. Did they ever have it in Vegas, though?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
I think the last time it was there was 2014, 2015, something like that.
Oh, I guess that makes sense, because it's industry conventions do go to Vegas a lot. Marvin actually was there for an industry convention of his.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually going there for an industry convention in a couple of weeks, which we'll keep nameless. Just, for your guys' audience, sake. What advice would you guys have for people wanting to create comics at this point?
Just do it.
You can't say that. That's a Nike slogan.
Yeah. Nike has some good advice. I talk to 1 million people on Instagram, on Facebook, on at conventions, and everybody always, everybody has an idea for a comic book or a novel or a movie screenplay or whatever, and I, without exaggerating, I would say less than 10% ever end up doing it. So, I mean, my main advice would be worry more about getting it done and worry about learning something from it, but don't worry about putting something out that sucks, because what's that?
It's going to. I think that's the best advice you can give to anybody. Anything you first create is going to be trash. Just accept it. It just is. It's not going to be good at all.
Yeah. And watching some of my first episodes of this show, I'll definitely say yes. Things in the beginning are definitely going to suck.
Yeah. I think if people would acknowledge that, they can get over the hump, because like it's that valley you go into the first time. It's like you're on a roller coaster. You go into a valley first before you go onto the to the heights, because it's never going to be what you think it's going to be when you first start out.
And there's such a phrase as the sophomore slump, which is mainly applied to records, but I think it applies to anything. If you thought your first album was good, it probably wasn't quite as good as you thought it was. But if you can make a second record and avoid the sophomore slump, then what's going to happen is the third project that you do is really going to shine. In other words, you've had your ups and downs with the first two. So if you can do 3 issues or 3 short movies or 3 records or anything like that, then you can consider yourself as, established enough to kind of make your mark in the world and go from there. But do 3 things and do them as well as you can. And once you get to the third one, then look back and assess your future, I would say.
Sound advice. Yeah, my whole thing has always been, both as a comedian and as a podcaster, is basically the first step is always the most difficult step. But as you start taking little baby steps, it gets easier and easier.
I wouldn't say easier. You get better. Things seem easier when you become better at them. It's like like I said, anything, riding a bike. Like bike riding isn't easier. You're just better at it.
Right. Things that you're inexperienced at first become almost routine by the time you're doing your third or fourth thing, and it gets to be in a smooth groove. I'm sure Grant can say the same thing, that once he got to the 5th or 6th comic, it's really it's not a cakewalk, obviously, but it definitely has a groove to it that you appreciate sliding yourself into when you do it.
Right.
Oh, definitely. And especially in today's age of media, comic book media, and comic books in general, I feel things are just a little bit more saturated and competitive than they've ever been.
Well, that's the invention of the internet, where everything becomes a in your face, click, get to it as fast as you can kind of world, where I think if people slow down on things, then they'll start to appreciate things more than they do now.
Yeah, I can see that. This is all 3 of you. Where do you see the future of physical media going? Whether it be comic books or TV shows or things like that. I've seen 2 articles today where certain outlets are just getting rid of physical media. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, it's funny that when Best Buy decided they're not going to carry physical media anymore, and it was kind of like people jumping on it as this bad thing. Well, Best Buy's market penetration was pretty low. Like, they were getting crushed by Walmart and Amazon. So I don't know what they're going to do with that space, because if you're not going to sell physical media, are you going to sell physical drives? Are you going to sell Blu-ray players, 4K players, DVD players, etc. in your store? If there's no media to put in it, you're not going to tell somebody, hey, buy this Blu-ray player, then go down the street and buy a movie to watch it there. It's kind of weird. And Target was doing the same thing, and Walmart was shrinking theirs. But as long as Amazon still exists, you're not going to get rid of physical media. Maybe magazines because they're periodicals, which means that after the month they come out, they're worthless. But I mean, comics aren't going anywhere in a physical manner. People are still going to want physical comics. Digital comics are not going to kill physical comics like they have other print media.
Yeah, I mean, I own a couple digital comic books, but I definitely don't enjoy them as much as I do, having like actual paper.
It's just a total different. To my opinion, it's just a total different experience.
Yeah, digital is still hard to read, but Marvin is right. I think in a writ large sense, Amazon shows that there's going to be demand for physical stuff because they're constantly delivering physical packages to everybody that hopefully don't get stolen by porch pirates. But for us, we are actually not even doing digital comics at all. We're staying physical. I actually didn't even really think about the term physical media until recently and how much it refers to things like DVDs actually, but there's physical media is not going away anytime soon. In Pittsburgh, for example, there are new record stores opening. One just opened like this past week, and so people are buying vinyl and people are buying comics. And there's although there's many differences, there are also many similarities between the two worlds. You have collectors, you have indie labels, all that kind of stuff. You have characters that people follow, etc. So yeah, as long as there's vinyl records, I think there's going to be comics. I think there's kind of both are following a similar trajectory and staying alive far beyond the mainstream's willingness to accept them, which is cool, I think.
I think one of the things in that instance is that people are starting to find out how much artists are being paid for those digital songs on like Spotify and things like that. So that's another reason why people are going backwards into physical media, because they get more off of physical sale than they do a digital sale.
For me, the one thing for me, at the last 3 or 4 comic book conventions I've been set up at, I've been selling a lot of DVDs. And I just think people are getting tired of streaming services.
I wouldn't say tired is the right word, because it's something that's not going away either. It's not going to be the battle it was anymore, because they found out where people will draw the line. But no one's going to say I'm going to shut off my Netflix. It's just, like
Amazon stuff.
Yeah, when Netflix decided that they were going to force people to not share, their subscriptions went up. So I mean, that stuff's not going anywhere. It's the Netflix, Disney, and whatever one is going to be left in the third place. There's still won't be around.
I guess at this point, Max may be the third.
We'll see. I mean, I know they were circling Paramount recently, like vultures. So.
Yep. Paramount, the streaming network I always forget about until they put a new South Park episode up.
Right.
Are
So,
you guys,
sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah. I was just saying is that, I mean, that where we're at is that we want to do physical because we want to do conventions, and I don't see any instances where someone is going to be interested in buying a digital comic at a convention. I mean, the only time I really push digital is for international, because shipping is out of hand right now. I mean, it's kind of funny that I can send a package to Alaska for the same price I could send it to California. But if it crosses the border into Canada, when it's shorter distance, the price goes up from like $5 to $30.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually think that the most beneficial place, the place where people benefit most from digital comics is, for example, in remote areas. Like there's literally a guy that I saw talking who was working in the Arctic in Canada, and of course, he can't even get physical comics, so he has to read everything digitally. But otherwise than that, we offer something. We offer pay downloads, which is another format which has existed for a while. And so not only can you get digital, you can get digital stuff and you can own it. All you have to do is be able to download it onto your computer or store it on thumb drives. So other than DVDs and CDs, which CDs are kind of going away. There's other ways to own digital properties without having to, turn it back in to Netflix through streaming. You can actually own the stuff by downloading it, and I would urge everybody to do that as much as possible, so that they own the stuff. So in case Netflix makes a movie go away all of a sudden, well, you've got it already.
Yeah. HP, I had a question for you.
Yeah.
How do you go about finding your female talent for the show?
Oh, well, that's a pretty interesting thing. I guess a unique question for me. So in the beginning, the female talent was drawn from the Pittsburgh music scene, and as a result, many of the ladies were actual front women of local bands. And in fact, we're going to show their prowess in February during the Comics Pro convention. We're going to have a little mini concert with 3 of their local bands, fronted by the actual supervillains. That'll be really fun to watch. Yeah, I know. That's pretty
Awesome.
cool. Imagine doing that. That's like it's something I've been wanting to do for a while. But beyond that, the ways to get actors in a city where the Hollywood industry hasn't really reached, right? We have movies that do film here, but the acting community is kind of small. So the best way to get actors is you post on acting boards. You go into the improv comedy scene. You go into the burlesque and belly dance scene. You maybe find some cosplayers and also the music scene. So between all of that, we've been able to find actresses from almost every different discipline, and many of them have very different strengths, and they're all somewhat amateur. But we've had actually a couple of actresses go on to be in TV shows as well, and move on to LA or New York. So there are some people with professional aspirations here, and there is an acting scene that we have, a local movie making scene that we have sometimes connected with. In Pittsburgh, we're the only, in fact, in North America, we're the only live action superhero show independent of a streaming service. You understand? The only one. But
Yeah.
in Pittsburgh alone, you can find a dozen guys doing horror films, in the George Romero kind of tradition. So there's a lot of horror here, and sometimes horror actresses don't mind putting on a spandex costume or two as well.
Interesting. One of my favorite movies was actually filmed in Pittsburgh.
Which one was that?
Dogma.
Oh yes, so that church is being refurbished. The one that they I was really hoping someday to film in front of the Dogma Church. It's in a neighborhood called Larimer in Pittsburgh. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Actually, Kevin Smith did a couple of movies here. I think
Zack and Miri up there too.
Zack and Miri here. Yeah, I mean, there's a history of good, of interesting movies being filmed here. One which wasn't so good, which we actually did a parody of in episode 18. We did a scene that was a parody of Seth Rogen's terrible American Pickle movie, which was filmed down the street from me. It was pretty bad, but
Why?
We made the best of it, and we did a parody of it using one of our superheroes, and we had a local guy play the pickle vendor, and he got his money stolen. It was pretty funny, but yeah. So both good and bad movies had been filmed here. There's a little bit of an industry here for that.
Interesting. Yeah, now you're gonna make me go check out the worst Seth Rogen movie of all time later.
Is there something worse than American Pickle? Probably.
No, I doubt it. But when it comes
Pineapple
to
Express.
Seth Rogen's movies,
Which one?
Pineapple Express.
Oh, Pineapple Express, maybe. Yeah.
really?
That movie's not that bad.
It's not that good either.
Yeah, that's true.
I think American Pickle is worse. Yeah.
All right, I'll do a review of that on a future episode. So what type of audience would be interested in Beowulf, Grant?
What type of audience?
Yeah.
Well, I would hope everybody. I'd say it's good for kids. It's not super violent. There's not a lot of swearing. There's maybe a little bit of swearing here and there, but Yeah, a lot of audiences. I found that a lot of non-traditional comic book audiences, like people who say, "Oh, I don't really like comic books," will read Beowulf, and it turns out that they end up liking it. So, people. So and that's not to say that comic book readers don't like it too, as well. But if you like cats, you would like Beowulf because one of the main characters is a cat.
Yeah, actually, when we go to conventions, Adam, a lot of people come up to the table and I ask them, "Hey, we have 4 creators here. Do you like fantasy, sci-fi, horror, or superheroes?" And then if they say something specific, like for example, fantasy, then we steer them to Beowulf. Beowulf is extremely popular at the conventions that we vend at, and so if somebody says superheroes, then I direct them to The Edge and Heroineburgh, and people figure out that maybe it's a little bit like Teen Titans or a little bit like X-Men and GI Joe. So there's a lot of ways to hook people into stuff that they haven't heard of if you use frames of reference that they're familiar with. And frankly, more than anything else, even more than Teen Titans and X-Men, Beowulf has an extremely wide frame of reference because you can tell them why, Grant.
Well, everybody loves cats, and I mean, obviously Beowulf is something that everybody's heard of, but I feel like everybody's heard of Beowulf, but it's not quite as overexposed as like a lot of fairy tales. Like, there's not as much Beowulf content as there is, like, say, Robin Hood or King Arthur or Snow White, stuff like that.
So people are hungry for it a little more.
Right.
That makes sense. And the heck with Snow White.
Right.
And like I said, I babysit for kids, so just anything with princesses, and it's just like, can't something else, please?
Well, it's funny. Everybody's going on and on about how Steamboat Willie is now in the public domain, but a lot of people don't realize most Disney movies, technically speaking, are in public domain, because most of them are based on fairy tales, and
right, but it's the character design where they can trademark it. So
right.
while you can use,
that's what you have to be careful of.
Yeah,
Right,
it can't be the Mickey Mouse with the
interesting.
sweatpants and the gloves.
So with the Steamboat Willie thing, is it just Steamboat Willie that's now in public domain, or
The whole cartoon.
Right.
the whole cartoon is in public domain?
So that be what's the is it Willie is the other character. So that character, then the design of Mickey Mouse from that cartoon.
And
So
only, go ahead.
I was going to say, you have to be really careful doing public domain stuff where only certain versions of Mickey Mouse are going to be public domain, like the very first version. And what Marvin was alluding to is, like, you can make a Snow White movie, but you have to make sure that it's not like too close to the one that Disney made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like, isn't there a comic out that has Conan as a character, but you can't put Conan on the cover?
Yeah, I don't know what the deal with that is. Yeah, that's the other thing. Technically speaking, Conan the Barbarian is in the public domain now too, but like I said, you have to make it sure to be careful that he doesn't look too much like the Frank Frazetta version.
Possibly other stuff from the same pulp period, like Doc Savage and Zorro, maybe also. But what I did notice, Adam, is that only one day after Steamboat Willie became public domain, video game developers were sitting on this game, and they issued it one day after the deadline. It's called Infestation 88. Somebody sent it to me, and it's basically, how you remember the Winnie the Pooh horror film? It's very similar to that, except Steamboat Willie is hunting people down like a rabid rat, a rabid mouse. So
Yeah.
yeah, people were ready for that, and they'll take advantage. As soon as something's available, they'll take advantage.
There's a movie too. There's a movie also that they a trailer was released yesterday, like right the day after. But like things like the original Superman, original Batman will be coming in public domain pretty soon too. So
Yep.
but I mean, even if it is that are people going to be able to make money off of it? Maybe a smidgen off.
Yeah, unless
off
you're
the-
doing a really banger parody where
They'll
you're
make money
being
off the
really
outrage.
careful with what you want to do. I see it being difficult unless you're really careful. 'Cause I can see Disney being like, all right, lawyers, you need to keep your eyes extra open now. Boom, go.
Well, they're already sick and they already sicked them on that stuff anyway. So we'll see how far it goes.
Yeah, but now it's going to be even more because everyone's going to be okay. Now, all the people that want to get away with something now, they now have an open door to try to see what they can get away with.
Like one of the funny ones is Flash Gordon is a public domain character, but the rights are so all over the place that no one can do anything with it.
Excuse the way I'm going to word this, but who's given a shit about Flash Gordon since 1980?
That's
well, Ted 1 and Ted 2 definitely did.
Oh, that's true. And I'm friends with Sam Jones, and I just I keep on hearing that Flash Gordon's going to be making a comeback since Ted, and I haven't seen anything yet.
There was a comic recently from Dynamite. I believe Dynamite did a comic, but forget about any. There was supposed to be an animated movie. It's not going to happen. Not at all. That and Buck Rogers, the rights are so convoluted that it'll probably never happen.
Yeah, which I feel bad for the characters in that case because, like I said, I love Flash Gordon.
It's like depriving a new generation of something new, or something that they could embrace. Like, who wouldn't want to embrace Ming the Merciless?
In today's PC age, don't you think I think they would. That's one of the first things they would try to update and change.
Well, I mean, you just have the idea that this guy just never dies and never goes away. He's coming back with his plans.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He's like Cobra Commander. He's coming back.
Yeah, maybe these days Ming the Merciless would look a little bit more like Kang the Conqueror, but he'd still be around.
Yeah, all right. So, is there anything that you guys are reading right now that gets you excited to still be comic book fans?
Well, I shift between, like, I do a lot of indie books for people that I know. I usually just buy stuff for people that I know. So if one of the people that I know is working on a Marvel book, like there's an artist who did a cover for me, Netho Diaz. He's on Daredevil right now, so I'm buying Daredevil right now, and the book is pretty good too.
Yeah, Daredevil's like the best thing Marvel's putting out right now.
Yeah, Daredevil is good. Yeah, I'm kind of similar to Marvin in that most of what I read now is independent because I feel like Marvel and DC is too hard to keep track of. Like, these storylines never end. You know what I mean?
I can relate to that.
But I mostly read independent comic books. My favorite independent comic book right now is a book called Barbaric, which is kind of an homage to Conan the Barbarian. It's about a barbarian, like basically Conan the Barbarian equivalent, where a witch puts a spell on him that he can only act in a way that helps other people. So he has to. He spends the entire comic book trying to suppress his natural instincts to just, go around and murder people.
That's interesting. I'll have to check that out.
So on my end, since I missed a good part of the 90s and some of the 2000s, I've been doing a lot of back issue digging at my couple of LCSs, finding out comics that I never knew existed before. And that's a pretty cool way of filling out your history. especially from late '80s to early mid 2000s. But if I had to, I guess if I had to mention two recent series, one series I really liked a lot, and I hope he keeps making it instead of just putting it online, is Adam Warren's Empowered. If you're familiar with that on Dark Horse.
All right, I'm familiar with Adam Warren, but Empowered?
Well, yeah, I mean, he used to do Dirty Pair, right?
Yep.
And
but for the past on a Gen 13 mini that I love.
For the past 10 years, he's done a new series called Empowered, and it's been collected in a whole bunch of books. You should check it out. And the other thing I liked more recently was the rebooting of Barbarella on Dynamite. The woman who writes it, Sarah Hoyt, is a really, really good sci-fi author, and she is bringing some new energy to that old character. And I would really love to see like a Barbarella reboot movie come out of that at some point. I think Dynamite at this point owns the character for the short term. So
actually, I think that just got extended. Don't quote me on that, but that Barbarella series was great.
It was, yeah.
Who would you put in the main role at this point?
Yeah, I'd love to see it continue, and hopefully, Dynamite will turn a couple other characters over into properties. They have some good ones, so.
I know that Vampirella isn't really development for a movie at the moment.
That would be nice.
After watching this old school Vampirella movie I found on YouTube, I'd like to see a modern version.
Oh, you mean the Roger Corman thing? That was kind of bad, but
yeah.
Actually, I am very influenced by other Corman projects, mainly Black Scorpion. So there you go.
I haven't seen that in years.
Did Corman actually make a movie that was good?
Well, I don't know.
I guess it depends on your definition of good, but if it entertains you,
he made movies. They were entertaining, but were they good? I don't know.
They entertain in some manner or fashion. Yes, indeed.
You remember he did the Fantastic Four movie.
He did.
Yeah, he did. The 1994, a bootleg darling, as I like to call it.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful.
Oh, it sucks. It just sucks. I've seen adult films that are better than that. I've seen cosplayers at a high school theater do a better Fantastic Four than Roger Corman, but it's still enjoyable to me for some reason.
It's entertaining. Yeah, it is. Like I said.
I could have done it, but where can my audience find you guys online?
Go ahead, guys.
Yep. So I can be found at theedgecomic.com, comicsburghexperience.com. On Facebook, it's at the Edge Comic, as it says in my signature there. The only place that I'm at Marvin Wynn is on Twitter, because for some reason someone has the Edge Comic and they haven't ever posted, and they won't give it to me because they're rude.
I hate when that happens.
So I'm Grant Lankard everywhere. I think some places I might be GW Lankard, but most places I'm just Grant Lankard. And I put my name in the chat. I have a pretty distinct name, so you should be able to find me on. I don't use Twitter anymore, or X, or whatever stupid thing they're calling it now. But you can find me as Grant Lankard on Facebook, Instagram, Threads.
OnlyFans?
No, I don't have an OnlyFans yet. Those pictures I'll send to you privately.
Well, I mean, it's kind of funny because I saw a comic creator is putting his comics on OnlyFans.
Who's the creator? I'm interested.
I can't remember who it was. I saw it on Facebook. I'll look it up and I'll send it to you. But I'm like, all right, if that's what you want to do, go ahead.
No, I'll be honest, but the OnlyFans is becoming more of an adult content now too. Whitney Cummings just did a comedy special on there, and they are bringing their way into mainstream, projects.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, good for them.
I don't know. I think they should have maybe used a little bit of different brand name because of the minute people hear only all the judgmental people hear OnlyFans and just assume the worst, but that's besides the point.
Maybe they
Well,
can
not only
mainstream
that,
them.
but not only that, but if your wife finds like on your credit card statement, like, oh, OnlyFans, she's gonna assume you're not just looking at comic books, right?
Yeah, that's true. But that's what you do is you buy yourself a Visa gift card, and you make sure that the only thing you put on the Visa gift card is the OnlyFans thing that you're going to be looking at the comics
Well,
on. And
and
you
I
don't
would
have to
think
have an
that
argument with your wife.
I would think the credit card statement would have something else on it, like a pass-through company, like an LLC,
Yeah, I
saying
mean,
such and such trading company or something like that.
yeah. And I think it actually goes through their parent company, which I forget the exact name of it. But when does season 3 actually drop on YouTube for HB?
Okay, yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, the clips for sale, and we also have clips for sale, obviously, but clips for sale uses an alias on your credit card, so you're safe there. But anyway, season 3 is coming out in 2024, and it's going to be extending. Each season takes about 3 years to make because we don't have millions of dollars. But yeah, episodes 22 and 23 are the next episodes. They're season 3, episodes 1 and 2, basically. They'll be coming out early in 2024. In the meantime, Customs 11 and 12 have just come out, and people are enjoying those. And I think issue 4 should be out in the early spring as well. As far as where to find us, Heroineburgh is a unique name. Nobody else uses it. Heroineburgh. Super Heroines in Pittsburgh. You can shorten that to Heroineburgh. And we have a website. People download the videos and people can buy the comics from the website or from about 200 stores across the country. And we have a full complement of socials: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, what's the other one? Twitter and DeviantArt.
Are we really down to 200 brick and mortars at this point?
More than 200. Like I said, unlike with these guys, and they're doing a great job through Diamond, I decided to go direct a couple years ago, and I've just stuck to that ever since. And there are, in fact, there are over 2. Go ahead.
So you're in, out of the 2,000 plus brick and mortar shops, you're in 200 of them.
Yes, we're in about 220 right now. Even several in Canada. At one point, I had a shop in Israel and New Zealand too, but that they didn't order anymore after number 1. But yeah, in North America, 220 shops approximately, and yeah, we're in the process
amazing.
of.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, I don't really think anybody else in the modern Iron Age or whatever you call comics now is doing it quite the same way, and that's surprising because in the 80s, everybody had to do it that way. All the indies had to do it that way because the distributors wouldn't even pay attention to them, And yeah, so that's one way to get your stuff out there. I would encourage anybody who makes a comic book to start by driving your comic book to any comic shop that will have it within a 2-hour radius, right? So if you're in Ohio, blanket Northeast Ohio with your book or whatever, and then just go from there. Expand your reach gradually through Comic-Cons and through direct sales or through Diamond, and just see how far you can go with it. Like Grant says, just do it.
Yep. Where do you guys know what will your first convention of 2024 be?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm in the process of making my convention calendar as we speak, and I'm trying to just pick out exactly where I want to be this year because I'm actually going to lessen my convention presence for a year.
Yeah, I don't even know because we've got things on the docket, but we haven't been approved for yet. So I would say,
yeah, I hear that.
Chicago C2E2 in April.
We're definitely going to be in 2 places. We're going to be at the Comics Pro private industry thing in late February, and then after that, I think all of us are certainly going to be at Three Rivers Comic-Con in early June in Pittsburgh. That's at the Downtown Convention Center. So if you're within, like I said, a 2-hour radius of Pittsburgh, and you want to experience the true comic scene of Western Pennsylvania, June 1st and 2nd, 2024 is the place to do it at Three Rivers Comic Con for sure. And
excuse me, did you say June 1st and 2nd?
Yeah.
June 1st and 2nd, I think, right? Isn't that it, Marvin?
Saturday and Sunday.
Yep, Three Rivers Comic Con, and yeah, I mean, we'll be doing and signing up for a lot of other conventions. I already signed up for Hershey PA Con, for example, but yeah, last year we went to about a dozen different ones, and we had a lot of fun and sold a lot of comics. And like as you know, I was at Big Apple by myself, and
Yeah. Did you enjoy my home con?
so yeah, that's your home con, Adam. Really?
Yeah, I've been doing. I've been at almost every Big Apple on and off since 1996 when the promotion started.
Well, that's amazing. So Marvin also, as well as I, we have experienced the life of Mike Carbonara, the crazy man who runs it, and he's
a
awesome.
machine. He's not a human being. I swear to Christ, that's an android.
He's both awesome and exasperating at the same time, which is interesting.
He's Willy Wonka.
Yeah, he's kind of Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka has nothing on him, man. All of a sudden, I've known him since I was a 13-year-old kid.
But you know what? This time around, Adam, I just want to give him props, and you as well, for meeting me at Big Apple Con, because I was able to sit there amongst, just greats of the comic industry. Like behind me was Rodney Ramos and Larry Hama. Next to me was, what was the name of the Ren and Stimpy guy? I can't remember now. Oh, Bob Camp and his wife, who were super nice. On the other side of me was Paul Kirchner and Jim Salakrup. And then, across from us was Billy Tucci. It was just an amazing feeling being among all those creators. And it's really cool that Mike Carbonara gives such priority to those people at his con, because it's a really good experience. I recommend Billy.
Both his shows, I really love.
Yeah.
He's put a lot of effort in the last 3 years of really doing at least the Christmas con a little bit more comic book oriented.
Yep.
I mean, he's always really creator and indie creator friendly, but during the Christmas show, it's a little bit more emphasized.
Yeah, I can't actually go to his other one because it's too much in the middle of the other ones we're doing. But the Christmas con is just well placed, and I would urge anybody within an hour of New York to go to that. And you know what other con I really enjoyed that was near New York that I went to this year? And Grant probably has a different view on it, which is fine. It was Garden State, which was also another huge con, only an hour south of New York and near Newark. And I really enjoyed that. Was a very creator-heavy con as well. Yeah.
Grant, what's your experience at Garden State? That's the one show I have not been to yet in the many years that it's been doing it.
I mean, my goal is to sell a lot of comics, and we didn't sell a lot of comics at Garden State. So,
all right.
For me, it wasn't a good show, but I think Manny had fun. Or I'm sorry, heroineburgh had fun there.
Yeah, I would go back. I mean, the thing about it is, other than Big Apple, it seems like to be the other affordable con that's very near New York, affordable to do, affordable to attend, and so yeah, I hope they continue. I really like the, although we were in the hockey arena, the ice one. I like kind of it was very cold. I like the idea of there being two hockey arenas connected by a short tunnel, and it was interesting. I'd rather be in the floor hockey arena next time where it's a little warmer, but still, it was a good experience.
Like I said, that show always happens at the same time as other events that I do. So
yeah,
I just have not had the pleasure to, like I said, Big Apple. I'll do to the time when Carbonaro decides he can no longer do it.
Yeah, New York just seems to be a welcoming place for all of that culture, and of course it should be, because it's kind of the center of it. And it's where all the Marvel superheroes live, so why not?
Yeah, and like I said, it was nice meeting you at the end there when I was half asleep, in the worst diner of all New York.
I thought I don't know. I didn't have a really problem with the TikTok diner. It was okay. I mean, once you get to about 2 or 3 a.m., there's a lot of shouting and yelling from club
Yeah,
goers. But
that's true. No, basically, I have a love-hate relationship with the diner. Just that particular shift, because it took that waitress ever to come back after you left. When I waited there for another 15 to 20 minutes to get my bill.
oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, she seemed to be a little bit overworked from the crowd that was there at the time. But
Yeah.
later at night, once 3 a.m. passed, and I was there between 4 and 7 a.m., it was pretty quiet, and I enjoyed some nice hash browns and an omelet. So yeah, I'd go back to the TikTok.
I can't complain. They did have a really good dessert.
Yeah.
Do fromage.
It took my place so that after you left.
I did have an omelette du fromage, actually. Yes.
Nice. Well, I really wanted. This was a great way to kick off 2024 for the podcast, and I want to thank you all for being guests tonight. And I look forward to supporting your work in the future.
Sure. Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much, Adam, and we thank you so much for hosting the members of Comicsburg on your podcast. Thank you so much.
It was my pleasure, man. And like I said, I wish you guys the best of luck in 2024. And to everyone else, check out heroineburgh and comicsburgh and everything else. I love you all. Blind Adam out.
End stream
Good night.
Happy New Year.
Yep.
Not yet button. End stream button. Enter. StreamYard dash studio.
Hey, I'm getting quicker with the equipment.
Link graphics skip the
Yay.
Hey, Grant. Thanks for doing it, Grant.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, Adam, thanks for having me on your show.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Well, I'll hook up with you later. I wouldn't mind buying a couple copies of Beowulf, the stock.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
All right.
Are we friends on Facebook?
We know we will be in a little bit.
Yeah, send me a friend request. I'll
Yeah, we'll take it from there, man.
be down with it.
Yep.
All right, guys. I'm gonna go say goodnight to my wife before she goes to bed.
All right,
Good night,
cool.
Angie. Grant, I can give you his email address too if you want.
All right, thanks, man. Take it easy.
Good night. Good night, Adam. Bye-bye.
Good night, man. Hey, Manny, once again, thank you, man.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. That was really fun. And yeah, we had a lot to talk about, even with no use of trailers or graphics. It was cool.
Yeah,
It was fun.
I do apologize about that. I'm still, as a visually impaired computer user,
I understand.
how to do all the trailers and stuff when I don't have a producer with me on my
Yeah.
own. And I just need to play around with this. Actually, I'm in negotiation with a school for the blind to teach me how to do some of that.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I saw you had a little trouble finding me backstage, but we worked it out, and that was cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Like I said, I was like, wait a minute, let me scroll a little further down, and I said, okay, that's it. I didn't hear it yet.
Yeah, I came in right after Grant did, and I saw him talking to you, but I couldn't do anything other
Yeah,
than.
and then like I said, then after that, I said, all right.
Thank you.
Like I said, we worked it all out. You have a great night.
Woo!
Yep.
Thanks, Adam.
Yep.
Talk to you soon then. Keep in
Talk to you
touch by
soon.
email. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Alt F4. Leave site. Dialog. Leave button. Cancel. Leave button.